Welcome back to Beyond the Classroom. Today, I've got with me Michael Stevens. Michael Stevens runs our computer skills technology program here at LCCC in the Outreach and Workforce Development program. You guys have heard him before. And today we're going to talk about what's next for workforce development in Wyoming. So, Michael, to set the stage, when we talk about workforce development today, what does that look like from your perspective in computer skills training?
Well, hello, James. Thanks for having me again. It's always nice to be here and have a chat with you. Okay. Yeah, we are Outreach and Workforce Development, and I do teach in computer skills training departments. So I'd say the majority of my students are already what we call computer literate in general, but there's still much to learn out there. So, like from the latest and ever evolving AI, and boy, is it ever evolving, right? Which looms like the largest elephant in the room, to data analysis, to the plethora of software apps to learn about, because there's a whole bunch out there. Now, not that you should be downloading all those apps, but there's a ton of them out there to learn about. So we try to teach the most popular ones, basically. Often their employer wants them to either learn those new software apps or top up their skills. That's the phrase, either we call upskilling, top up their skills on existing workplace software, especially Excel. That's a prime example. So we help the workforce develop their computer/software skills by providing training, not only relevant with current tech, but for from varying levels from novice to expert. Because in every class, we have people know the software like the back of their hand. They will learn some new tips and tricks, and those who are starting from scratch. So that's what we like to address in our classes, to bring everyone along for the ride, so to speak. So by the end of the class, hopefully they've, again, like I said, upskilled on that particular software app. That's reflected in our teaching philosophy from the course levels we provide, like from Excel 1 through 3 and then data analysis and beyond. We try to address that varying level of expertise in each class with our goal to leave no one behind. So yeah, I think that's basically what we're doing with Workforce Development at this time. That'd be different by the next podcast. So
Always changing.
always change. Yeah.
And speaking of changing, so technology changes so fast these days. What core digital skills do you think Wyoming's workforce needs the most right now?
Oh, that's a great question. Challenging one. And we wish we knew the exact answer. Always trying to keep our finger on the pulse. No surprise, overall AI literacy, which of course we provide in our newest Intro to AI course. It's not the only thing we teach, but it's a next big sector we have to focus on. It doesn't have to be a deep dive, not yet anyway. The workforce needs to know core concepts about AI, especially in regards to using it productively and in many ways they don't even know about yet. Also, of course, safely, as in don't get yourself fired by drag and dropping. I call it drag and dropping, get it? Drag and drop the wrong documents into the world's spotlight. Easy to do and tempting, but don't give in. Honestly, another core digital skill would be, or digi skill would be basic understanding of data analysis. Sounds kind of techie, but basically it's very simple. If you have this data, you want to present it to yourself or to your audience in a way that makes sense, that's meaningful, to get insights out of it, to use corporate phrasing. Doesn't have to be a deep dive, like I said, especially with AI wiping out many data analyst jobs, but certainly the skills to wrangle messy data, as we call it, messy, dirty data, clean it up, analyze it, and present it to your coworkers as a fantastic skill to learn. What else? We focus on that skill starting all the way back in Excel 1, Excel 2, Excel 3, Excel pivot tables, Excel Power Pivot, and then the grand finale, Intro to Power BI, which is Excel on steroids, which is a simple version of that. So those are some of the core digital skills we're focusing on right now.
Obviously, you interact with local employers. What are you seeing from them in terms of technology expectations for their new hires? You mentioned a lot of apps and top-up skills. So what are employers telling you they want to see?
Well, I'm super curious. I'm always asking the students, why are you here? Usually it's their employer, but not always. We have a nice mix of majority are from their employers. They're here to learn, often having their class paid for by the employer, which is fantastic. And then, of course, people for their own personal use or their own home business too. They're starting to either have a startup or they're looking to do that. So we're not seeing AI literacy as a requirement in a large capacity just yet, but we are getting signs that next year it's going to be nearly mandatory for all employees, and we can help with that. We see that writing on the wall that employers are realizing, oh, geez, we had better address this AI thing. Even in our own organization here, we've seen that curve where it started out with curiosity, and maybe we should teach our employees about AI and how to be careful with it, how to use it, where to find it. And as you know, has recently been mandatory for us as well. So we see that all employers are likely to do this and probably should make AI training, or at least basic AI literacy, mandatory. So that's one example for expectation for a new hire. You, they're probably going to ask in interviews, do you know anything about AI? So if you can at least say, yeah, I'm fairly comfortable with it actually. After our classes, that would be a fantastic thing.
Sure, I saw that Spielberg movie.
Yeah. Oh, geez. Don't get me started on that one. It actually has some good points. I love movies, especially science fiction, predicting the way things are now. It's hilarious. Also, Excel. I keep mentioning Excel, but it's a big deal. It's everywhere. Love it or hate it. I kind of love it. Biased. People are expected to at least know the basics of Excel, preferably more than just typing data into somebody else's spreadsheet into pull down lists. Bonus tip, also known as data validation. Because a lot of people see Excel at the workplace and they're scared they're going to break it. I just type stuff into it. I update the sales figures, or I put new employees in an HR spreadsheet. That's great, but really, there's so much more you can do, and it's not as hard as people think. It's a great skill. So I think Excel literacy, along with AI literacy, is a great thing for a new hire. And let me think, is anything else? Google Workspace, that's still alive and kicking. It's used by many organizations, so we teach that too. And that's in response to demand for Google Workspace training. So those are some skills I think that would be, especially AI literacy and Excel or data analysis in general, and Google Workspace, especially if you're applying for a job where you know they use that in the workplace, it would probably behoove you to take one of our courses. Love to have you.
So, newfangled, I think, has been scary for as long as newfangled been a thing, right?
Yep. Yep.
You go back to cars, right? People who just drove horse and buggies were freaked out by those.
Yeah.
And,
It's true. It's true.
computers first starting to come in. You've talked a little bit about AI so far. So, I think we're always going to have a world that's at least slightly intimidated by new technology.
Yeah.
How do you help folks come in and get comfortable with all of this newfangled stuff?
Oh, it's a tough goal to reach. We do our best, do our darndest. So, for example, with software, any apps we teach, especially Excel, Acrobat Pro, and Google Workspace, from the get go, I always tell my students that as long as you back it up again, and back it up again, at least 3 times, well, maybe at least twice, then you should have the confidence to open the hood and then tinker safely. It's not going to bite. If you back it up, you should feel confident to go ahead and work on your newest version of any app, really, or a file, and see if you've made worthwhile improvements or if you've completely decimated it. Delete, go back to the original copy. But anyway, so backing it up is a big deal because a lot of people are just say they're always scared that I don't touch the software. I'm like, well, do a backup copy and get your IT department's help if necessary, but it's not that hard to make your own copy of a file and stick it on your desktop, for example, and then tweak it comfortably and explore. Like I said, tinker with the engine. Don't be too scared.
Which is great advice because if you break it, you can always delete that copy, make a new backup, and play with the new backup.
Yeah, I know it sounds I mean, patronizing in a way. Like we all know about backing up our data, but seriously, once it's backed up, go ahead and start tearing it apart, and you will learn a lot more that way than say, "Well, I don't know, I just don't know." Also, people should give themselves more credit when it comes to understanding tech. It's all around us, especially in the last couple of generations. We've all grown up with it. So most people now, even the older generations, have innate skills that they may not realize they have. And that includes myself. I'm like, oh, the latest things on my phone. Like, you know what? A lot of this is the same old, just tinier on the phone. Right? This is still computer. You can springboard when learning new tech, especially when you realize it's often just menus, right clicks, and ticky boxing. That's what I call when you have check boxes, ticky boxing. Just rearrange in different ways in different apps. Once you get pretty handy with that, for example, the hamburger menu is what they call it, the three lines, usually the top left corner, not always. That's usually the main menu. If you see a little gear icon, that's usually settings. Once you're handy with that, it's funny, if you go to any app, it doesn't matter who the manufacturer is or the provider company, it's the same way of running that software. So it's not that bad. And I think after all these decades using operating systems such as Windows or Apple, Linux, you will see the commonality amongst all the software relies. It's just rearranged. So that helps a lot. So that helps me get their confidence up. I say, you've been using this software for a long time. It's more of the same. Like I always say, you've all right clicked before, and almost always I say, yeah, we've right clicked. Well, let's talk about right click. It brings up a dynamic context menu when you right click. You know how to do that. And you'd be surprised how much handier it is with the right click menu and searching a massive ribbon at the top. So people have those skills already. So I'd say don't be intimidated. You are better than you think you are. So we start off with that usually. There's also, although I should say, an example of Word versus Acrobat. There's significant differences between those two programs, Word versus Acrobat for PDFs. But majority of the Word skills you have by default, because I think most of us have used Word most of our lives, are similar in Acrobat, especially Acrobat Pro, if not more frustrating to use. That's why we have a class at Acrobat Pro. But so yeah, those skills are usually transferable to other apps. What else? So another confidence booster for those who are intimidated, I teach is that frequently you're just changing the display of the data, not altering the source data. So don't be scared to experiment in that quote unquote display ground or pun. I know. Yeah. So you're looking at the data, like for example, in Excel, when you generate a chart, a graph, you aren't touching the source data at all. I mean, you picked it to generate your graph, your chart. But when you tweak that chart, you're not touching the source data at all. So be confident. Keep tweaking that chart till it looks totally pro for your upcoming meeting. So I say you're altering the display, not the source. So yeah, those are some examples of ways I teach students to not be so nervous about it. A lot of people think if I touch it, I'll break it. It's just not like that. So
Lots of ways to keep yourself safe, to keep your data safe, to keep your projects safe. And yeah,
and that's my job to teach them those skills to not be scared. And that's why they're in the class in the first place. They are saying, I want to learn about this software and be better at it and not be afraid to actually try to fix things that my colleagues or employer are asking me to fix at work. So I actually really enjoy that part of teaching is like, I tell them, let's do this. Let's go ahead and dive in. Of course, they get a test file in the classroom that they could break, no problem. And I even have that backed up 3 or 4 times. But yeah.
all right. So with automation, AI, cloud systems, pick a term that's out there in the universe today.
There are many terms.
Oh yeah. So what are some of the ways OWD can adapt and keep training relevant for everybody?
Well, I know we keep saying AI, but it's kind of like I said, the elephant in the room.
Well, it lives inside of pretty much everything.
Everything. Yeah, my phone this morning just upgraded operating system. And sure enough, the first thing it said is hold down the right side button to activate Google Gemini. I'm like, oh no, you don't. So now I'm gonna have to go back to my little notes I've taken about how to uninstall Gemini on my phone, because otherwise it'll be intrusive on everything I do. So yeah, it's everywhere, literally in every device practically.
And for those of you who have gotten that update from Samsung or whatever phone, the side button, go into the settings and menus and search for side button because otherwise turning off your phone is a pain in the butt.
Yeah. What a sneaky trick.
Please set the side button to be a power button.
We might have a class about how to tweak your phone so it's not spying on you as much. By default, your phone is a massive spy, but you can at least tone it down somewhat. If you do nothing, guess what? It's an open sieve. So yeah, we're highly aware of AI reducing or taking over tasks in the workplace. But there are 2 things to think about. First, you cannot trust AI 100% of the time. You can trust it a lot, but not 100%. That's not only foolish, but extremely risky. There was a court case, maybe more than one, recently that were thrown out when it was discovered that AI invented fictional precedent cases that the lawyers then used.
Yeah, I've had my best friend ChatGPT has
Yeah.
done that a little bit lately for me.
Yeah. It's like a superstar employee that's got some serious character flaws. So you love working with them, but you're like, oh, I got to overlook their occasional major mishaps.
He just wants me to be happy.
Yeah, and they're great workers. They try to do everything exactly. That's what they're programmed to do is keep you happy and keep coming back for more. So with that in mind, the workplace still needs skilled workers who can audit AI's output. And that's a buzz phrase in tech, audit the AI. ATA, audit the AI. I'll repeat it. I'll repeat it a lot. If you don't understand, for example, Excel's more advanced functions, Can you really trust Copilot, which, as you know, is Microsoft, to generate a function for you 100% correctly? If you don't know Excel at all and you blindly tell Copilot, generate me a function that calculates the revenues for just the last quarter, 2 quarters of last year, and you don't take those results to the bank, or should I say to the next presentation meeting, you need to still know core Excel skills in order to what? Audit the AI. And that applies to everything. Educators who want to generate material for their classrooms, be very, very careful that you don't generate false material that you're teaching your students. That could get you in big trouble. But that's a separate conversation about AI, but it's easy for me to go off on that because big deal. Employers are still going to need, at the very least, these overseers, these auditors of what AI is up to. So that's one thing we're doing to keep our training relevant, and we need to. It's a big deal as everyone is trying to scramble and realize what do my employees need to know about AI and what risks. Also, so 2 points. The other one was, as we teach AI skills here at LCCC, we focus on using it as a collaborative tool to make you a better worker, not replace you. Caveat about that statement: OpenAI, Google, Microsoft, Anthropic, and Meta will all send me promo checks for saying that. Yes. Yeah.
AI taught Michael how to be a millionaire just by collecting dividends.
Yes, by saying that phrase, it's a collaborative tool to make you a better worker, not replace you. We're actively adapting to AI being the thing and have 4 AI courses already, which nicely complement a pathway to our Associate of Applied Science in AI and Machine Learning degree, also offered at LCCC, depending on how deep one wants to seek. That was a subtle AI pun. Think about that one. Yeah. So we have the 4 classes. And then, of course, on the credit side, AAS and AI and machine learning, both. So our training is currently relevant. We got to stay on top of things or it won't be in a matter of months, right?
Yeah, it's crazy how fast it's all changing. All right, so we're talking about how fast and relevant and staying up on things. How important is it for workers, even outside of tech fields, to have foundational computer literacy these days?
We just talked about that, actually. One word: your phone. Okay, that was actually 2 words. Your phone is a computer too. If you hadn't noticed, it's got a lot of horsepower, especially compared to my old VIC-20. Yes, or my Commodore 64. Great.
Well, I
I
mean,
just revealed my age.
compare it to the very first moon lander,
Yeah.
or UNIVAC, the very first, massive computer.
Inside your phone. You know, my kids have flip phones, and they remind me that, oh yeah, earlier phones or simple, cheaper phones are barely computers, just barely, because they can. I'm shocked how little they can do. But the average phone that's $800 to $1,000 is a
I mean, you
awesome.
look at the fact that my Furby from the '90s
Furby.
had more computing power than
Yes,
the lunar lander.
actually, we refer to Furby in our Intro to AI class as one of these milestones in AI in consumer products. Yeah, it's highly simplistic. Oh, pet me, squeeze me. Ouch, you're squeezing too hard. No, that's not what Furby said, but along that line, right? The Furby. That's
Me hungry.
yeah. That was AI. Technically, by the definition of AI, that was AI in a consumer product. It wasn't Internet of Things just yet, though. It wasn't web connected, thank goodness, as all toys are nowadays, practically. So yeah, the phone is a computer. It's the ultimate laptop, and you need basic computer literacy, even on that level of using your phone, as you download apps and say yes to all their conditions. Those conditions like share your data, almost always in the fine print. We will use everything you do on your phone to help us make more money. So you've been warned. Now click accept, and most do. So
Well, you
know,
can't use it if you don't click
that
accept.
I know. This app requires full access to all of your contacts, so we can ping them for advertising. And if you say no, sorry, you're right, Apple. Yeah, that's frustrating. You almost can't click fuse the app to run. You're right. But just like you have to know the basics of how a car works to drive it, I know this is a simple analogy, but computer literacy is the same. It can get you places, get things done, it can wreck you if you're not careful. So yeah, the basic foundational computer skills or literacy you need to have is for your safety, so you can use everything in your life, from your phone to your actual computer to all the devices in your home, and how AI is becoming integrated with all those devices. So you're going to need to know the basics. And I think most people realize that when their personal computer first came out, it was a luxury to have one. Then it became mandatory, now we can't live without them. They're actually arguably more important than our cars because we can work from home. You technically don't even need a car if you have a computer and you can work from home. So I see the AI, not just me, we all see AI is going to be the same way. You're just going to have to learn about it and let's make it a pleasant journey, shall we?
Right. So I think most people know at this point that it is very interconnected and reliant upon employers and the greater community to help us stay relevant. So what would be your advice from your perspective? How can partnerships with businesses, schools, and other agencies help us anticipate the future? How do those businesses and partnerships talk to us and tell us what they need?
Those partnerships are valuable for us to keep. I keep saying that phrase, fingers on the pulse. I just like that phrase. So I'll keep saying it ad infinitum. Those partnerships are valuable for us because we need to know what training to provide. Sometimes we've guessed and we've guessed wrong. An example of that was, see, we used to have Word 1, 2, and 3 classes. There was a time when that was the thing, and Word is, like I said earlier, so commonplace that people are like, I know Word pretty darn well.
What went into word 3?
Oh, well,
I'm trying to think
oh,
how
two
you
words, mail merge.
okay, I was
If you ever use mail merge, those kind of functions. Oh, also the formatting and outline structure of Word can be very frustrating to deal with.
yes, I've used Word for so many years that it just doesn't seem that complicated.
No,
But yeah, mail merge is usually at the high end of you're a power user at that point.
but there's our businesses did not require that training anymore, so the demand went off the cliff. We still provide custom training if a business does want their employees to learn Word. We get those requests occasionally, maybe twice a year or so, for custom training in Word only or even Outlook, believe it or not. But so we will drop classes that we see that just no one's has lost interest in because technology keeps changing. Like SharePoint kind of died out for a while there, and now it's coming back. So we might have to have some SharePoint classes. So we always are trying to talk to employers. They're probably our greatest source of staying current on what we need to offer for classes. So we always are asking the employees and the employers themselves who organize the registration of their employees, what would you like to see in the future? We have a course survey at the end of our classes too, where we list off all the classes we currently have, the classes we're thinking of offering, and any classes that employees or other students would like to see. So we're always hungry for that data of what do you want us to teach you we don't already have in our curriculum because they know they're the ones using it in the workplace. Oh, I mentioned Google Workspace earlier. We were surprised how many organizations use it. We kind of just threw that out there a while ago, thinking, oh, let's have a Google Workspace class. Turns out more organizations use it than we thought, considering it's not entirely fair reputation as a merely a free, quote unquote, clone of Microsoft Office. Although usually employees don't use the free version, they use the paid version. Power. So we are heavy on Google Workspace training because employers require that. Okay. In fact, we might even expand that somewhat. So yeah, we're always asking what they need to have, they'd like to have. So we're quick to adapt our training curriculum to what businesses need. And then some of it is our own guesswork based upon our research on the industry trends and what's happening. AI being a classic example of that. We saw that and see current tense, it's exploding and we need to address that. So, and we are. So we're off to the races with our 4 classes and counting. What else can I think about this? Our partnerships with schools is another example that yields greater insider knowledge of what skill sets they want their employees or students, both the employees of like the school districts and the students, of course, what skills they want to sharpen. And we're happy to provide that training with our existing courses, or again, we're able to package different topics, different software apps together in a custom training. So yeah, there's a lot of conversation. We have monthly meetings with companies around business leaders around the state, and we always ask them, what do you want to see? So yeah, and then of course, once the class starts, they're my captive audience. I'm really able to, what do you like that we have and what would you like to see? So
So if you've got an employer out there who's they've looked through your stuff, they haven't seen what they wanted,
yeah,
what's the easiest way for them to get in touch with you and say, "Hey, Michael, I need this."
yeah, they can reach out to myself or Darlene Kalen. Actually, this all we have to do is contact outreach and workforce development in general, and they'll hook you up with the right people. Many times we've had requests for a class we didn't have, and we were able to, hate to use this word, it's overused, pivot to address that need. We usually have an expert, subject matter expert on that software. We have a deep pool of talent here at the school, and we usually can throw together a class, either collaboratively with 1 or 2 of us working on it together, or just grab one of our subject matter experts to teach that class. So always ask us if you don't see it in our offerings, and because we obviously know it's super valuable for employers to send their employees here to sharpen their skills to be a better productive employee. So
Oh,
we know
well,
how important that is.
there you go. I'll get Michael's contact info and Darlene's contact info out there, and as well as
Yep.
OWD and Computer Skills Training's website. It'll all be down in the description for you.
Yeah, please ask because we have a lot of offerings you may not even know about because we can't list them all, right? So yep, please ask.
So here's your chance. If you can give Wyoming's workforce one piece of advice, only one, Michael.
I'll try.
All right. One piece of advice about preparing for the next wave of digital change. What is that piece of advice?
AI. No,
Let AI know it all?
I know. But maybe I'm being a bit regressive here, but I mentioned Word earlier about who needs Word 1, 2, and 3 classes anymore. Maybe people need Word Essentials, which is a class we offer sometimes of Word Essentials, a half day. You can use AI, Copilot, that's Microsoft's AI, to help you with Word. So that's partly why you don't need Word 1, 2, or 3 anymore either, is if you can learn about AI and, like, for example, Microsoft's AI Copilot, you can use it to ask some pretty darn tough questions about how do I do mail merge in Word? I don't take the Word 3 course. How do I do mail merges? Yeah, you can always Google that, but the answers are all over the place. They've been a hot mess for a long time. If you ask Copilot any Microsoft questions, especially about Word, Excel, PowerPoint, Outlook, Access, you name it, you're going to get awesome answers that are rarely wrong because they're tapping into Microsoft's technical documentation. So it's super accurate. Again, it could be wrong, but generally I found it's right like 98% of the time. If you ask AI questions about certain apps, how do you run them? Google's Gemini answers questions about Workspace fantastically. So I was like digressing a little bit there, but AI is a great tool to learn for all apps. And if it may not be easy, but if you try to accept AI in the same way you did the personal computer, the internet, or some would say the interwebs, I think that's funny. And then the smartphone, which I admit I was a late adopter. I did the flip phone for the longest time. I still miss it. You can buy them in a fashionable sense, but anyway, you accepted all those things. But if you have incredible vigilance and training on where it's at, what it's capable of, and most importantly, not capable of, that's where you can find more job security. The
So
more well, sorry.
I'm
Go
just
ahead.
curious. You've mentioned, asking Copilot about Word and Gemini about Workspace. Should I trust it to work the other way around? Can I ask Gemini about Word? Can I ask
Okay.
Copilot about Workspace?
See, that's a fantastic question, and I have experimented with that. It's fascinating. So an example of that is ChatGPT is surprisingly good with Excel. We have a class coming up next year, Excel AI Assist, and we're not just going to use Copilot. We're going to use ChatGPT as well. There's actually all kinds of articles out there about benchmark tests between Chat's Excel solutions and Copilots. And believe me, Microsoft is scrambling to make sure Copilot kicks ChatGPT's you know what. So it's
And
pretty
considering Copilot is
yeah,
ChatGPT.
that's true. Yeah. And that there's some perimeters established between those, but yeah, right, Microsoft does use OpenAI stuff. So I see that overall AI is supposed to tell the truth. If you ask Gemini about Microsoft products, you almost can feel the reluctance in the answers. But I don't see it lying or twisting the truth. But my big thing is like, for example, I said the Copilot, using Copilot to understand to ask harder questions like, where is this feature? Speak cell aloud. I can't find the darn thing. I want to add it to my ribbon in Excel. Speak cell aloud, or certainly in PowerPoint. Add it to the PowerPoint ribbon. If you ask Copilot, it's going to nail that answer. I swear to you, better than Google could, or Claude, or the other Grok, DeepSeek. But you and why? They have unfettered access. Or I should say it has unfettered access to all of Microsoft's archived instructions. And I trust that immensely when it scours that data in their own internal language model structure for the proper answers versus Gemini telling me what it thinks Word can and can't do. So, but yeah, this is part of what we teach with AI is to be discretionary with your results. Go, well, unfortunately, it's challenging. You have to keep in mind the bias of each provider because they want to sell their AI. It's a war. The tech titans are at war. Let's be honest. Or like, what is that? Godzilla, King Kong, and now it's all the monsters in the Monster Island or the Monsterverse are all
Clash of
fun.
the Titans.
It is just like that, right? Where you can assign the creatures as you will. Godzilla being Grok and Megalon being Claude, Anthropic's Claude. So there, with them all fighting like that, you have to wonder sometimes about the results possibly being skewed in their favor. So this is part of AI literacy, is being not only, of course, scrutinizing AI's output to your input, that would be your prompts or the files you've drag and dropped into the AI app, is to consider, do you think it's accurate? Can you corroborate that output is correct by doing a little side research on your own? And filter in the bias too, or filter out the bias, right? That you might see in their answers.
Sounds like there's a lot more to AI. We're going to have you back on in a few weeks, and we will
Yeah.
talk some more about AI.
Well, let's do that, because the more you learn how to use AI productively, not just lazily, and that's a topic I could really go off on. Save that for next time, because people are lazy. Generate me an entire course, chat. That's not cool. And I know instructors not here, other places doing that. Keep it on a leash. You need to learn how to keep AI on a leash. And the more valuable you are to your employer, because you accept AI, it will be better off than I refuse to learn the next big thing mentality for preparing for this wave of digital change, to cap off your question. So yeah, we'd like to talk more about that in our next podcast.
Sounds good. Yeah, we'll have you back. All right, Mike.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, well, thanks for joining me today. For those of you listening, thank you very much for joining us. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And until next time, have yourself a great day.
I want tomorrow. I want tomorrow. I want tomorrow. I want tomorrow today.